Hello everybody, and this is Chaos with Chaos Esports Productions bringing you another Bronze to Masters League Series game. Wow, what a week. So, this is going to be actually my last game for the week. I played this, and this is actually the game that promoted me to Diamond. So this will be the last Platinum game. It's been a long one. I know it's been like... oh wow, I can't even remember. It's like 16 or so games. So, I mean, in retrospect, it's really not that... it doesn't take that many games to get promoted. You know, I've had some losses, so it hasn't been, you know, a 100% win rate or anything. But, you know, it just kind of gives you some encouragement to go out and kind of play the ladder and figure out, you know, it doesn't take long, you know. Total time played was probably around, I don't know, probably around 3 or 4 hours. So, if you put your mind to it and want to get yourself up in the leagues, feel free to go get on the ladder, play some games, use some of these strategies. I don't know if you want to use my strategies. You can use them if you want. But anyways, we're going to be looking at a PvZ on Daybreak. Now, this game is really strange. There were many times in which I thought I would lose because it was not good. I can't say that my micro or macro is top-notch to any degree, but, you know, things happen. So, PvZ, going for a Forge Fast Expand. Now, this map, you could go for a Nexus first. Personally, I don't like that option just because if you go Nexus first, you limit yourself to deny a hatchery. I go in and scout and see that he's already put down his pool, so I'm a little bit discouraged from planting down a pylon and trying to cancel this. Yeah, like he can't see my probe, so I can get around here. I can plant a pylon and start a cannon, which is actually what I do, because once this finishes, I can, you know, start to try and deny this. But basically, this is going to be stopped if and only if your opponent scouts it and or slash, you know, most Zerg players, once they get this, they'll get at least 2 lings, if not 4, and start to scout around their base to, you know, to deny any of this shenanigans, which, yes, it is shenanigans. I go ahead and plant my Nexus down before I plant down the cannon, because obviously I don't want to delay the Nexus that much. But basically what this does is if he lets this cancel and isn't able to take it out in time, this hatch is more or less lost. He could get a queen and a spine crawler and maybe kill it before it kills the hatchery, but in general it's very hard to you know, not get denied. But he gets in, scouts it early enough, takes out the cannon. I think he takes out the probe as well. I try to plant down a gateway here, which is really dumb, but yeah, ignore that. Don't ever try that. It's not good. I cancel it immediately. Get a cannon up down here. Everything's looking good. Also getting a assimilator, and then once we have enough money, we immediately get the second assimilator. He tells me nice try, and basically at this point I'm like, well, that didn't work. So, getting the gateway up. Now, this is a fairly long game, so I'm going to try and speed through it relatively quick, because I know when I'm watching games, especially replays, that I'm just like, man, I want to get to the point. And basically, let's see, I don't scout this third for a long time, if I remember right. Basically, behind this, I'm just getting, you know, continue on getting probes, getting my economy up. Everything's good and well with the world. We're going to be getting out a Zealot here soon, and continuing on doing what we normally do. Now, like I said, like I tried in my Terran videos from earlier this week, I tried to do some DT drop-esque type play, which I don't necessarily recommend during, versus Zerg. He gets in and scouts the Twilight Council and the Robo, and part of me wonders what he was thinking at that time, because I know if I was a Zerg player and I saw this, I'd be like, what? So, anyways. So yeah, so just basically, we're going to go and try and do the same type of strategy that we did versus Terran, where we get our Dark Shrine up, we get up a handful of gates, and then we're going to push out with a small army up to the ramp, and and basically the whole point of that is to force his army to come down here and deny this, and then behind it drop down some DTs and try to take out as many probes as possible. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. Getting up all 4 gas, because obviously DTs are really, really expensive when it comes to gas. He puts a whole bunch of lings down here, and I actually do a really, really bad job of dealing with this, because I poke out with 2 sentries, a zealot, and a stalker, and one of the sentries immediately gets taken out, which is never a good thing, because force fields are vital at this point. So I get a handful of DTs, get things going, start moving across. Now I go ahead and send out this Phoenix, because at this point I haven't seen his army, and that shows me, you know, exactly what I needed to see. I know he has a ton of roaches, and I know that I'm going to need a response to this very soon. So I send in, let's see, I deal with this, and then I was a little, my micro is not exactly tip-notch, and he's already got an overseer here, so basically this entire drop gets denied, and I'm sitting on a ton of monies because my macro is not doing too hot. I did get a couple more gateways up, and I'm starting to get Colossus now, because obviously he's got a ton of roaches, and I need to have an answer to that. So warp in a whole bunch of stalkers, get things going. And basically, I'm just kind of sitting here. I send a single zealot out to take out the watchtower, because you always want to have vision. Now, unfortunately, I do not have any forward pylons, but I still do have this warp prism accessible. So if I do choose to do any more type of drops, I have that option. Also, behind this, I'm taking a 3rd base. Now, this is a little risky on my part, because I know he's got a lot of units compared to me, and I don't think I've scouted. Did I? Yeah. No, I didn't. I'm now scouting the 3rd. Yes. So I'm just now scouting the 3rd. And fortunately for me, when I come in here, I noticed that he doesn't have a lot of drones here. So he hasn't been droning very hard. So he's been spending it mostly on units. Basically, what this means is I need to continue on getting up. Let's see. I've started single Colossus production. I'm getting Thermal Lance, and we'll soon be starting double Colossus production. So I see that he's coming to attack. Now we're going to slow it down. I push out a little bit. He's starting to take out these rocks. So obviously he wants to give him as much service area as possible. I throw down 1, 2, 3. Where's the 4th one? Where is it? There it is. So I let a little too many units get in, and basically I get walked over. Fortunately for me, I noticed that he's got 2 overseers, and guess what? Can't see DTs if there are no overseers. That's right, roaches and Hydra. So I warp in, frantically trying to get things out. Got a Colossus back here, and move him out. I lose all my units, and warp in a handful of DTs, because he doesn't have detection. So he gets in, does a fair amount of damage at my natural. One little tip for people who don't know what to do with this mothership core, because mothership core, if you have it on your hotkey, it's kind of a pain, because whenever you attack, it like moves forward over whatever it is you're attacking, and then starts shooting downwards, and is just a pain and very suicidal. One thing that I like to do is I like to put it on a separate hotkey and then kind of put it in between my bases. That way it gives me full flexibility to go like deal with drops or mutas or whatever in my main, or anything that's going on with my natural. So just a little tidbit. So anyways, DT's coming in doing lots of damage. Let's see, we got 3 kills. We got not many kills actually. That's surprising. Anyways, so continue. Now, our 3rd base is up, and I'm pretty sure at this point, let's see, yep, our Zerg player has not scouted that. So he's thinking he's done a really good job, and, he's done a lot of damage. And, quite frankly, he has. But what he doesn't know is he doesn't know I have a 3rd, so he doesn't realize that I'm still on, I wouldn't call this 2 base economy, I'd call this like 1.5 base economy. Since I don't know why I don't have that many probes in my main. Interesting. But gonna continue rebuilding. I tried to do a little drop to take out some stuff, but it was thwarted by all of his units because he's got lots of units now. So continuing on double Colossus production. Now, in this situation, it's really kind of a tough place to be because you don't know what to do. You don't have many units. You don't want to move out, and you really don't know what to deal with. So Colossus he comes in. My DTs, he still doesn't have any detection with him, which is obviously not good for him. So the DTs can kind of go to town as far as kills. I back up my Colossus, try to save them as much as possible. I think he ends up taking out my +2 armor. And he's just basically continuing on putting the pressure in. I'm sitting here like, ugh, there's no way I'm going to deal with this. But thankfully he backs off. Had he come in here with that, I don't know what would have happened. I mean, obviously he needed an overseer with his army, but it doesn't really look like he's building one. He's building 9 of them. Oh my god. So yeah, so he's dealing with that for next time. So I move kind of close to in between my natural and my third because I don't know if he scouted it or not. So, you know, obviously you want to make sure if he does know about it, you want to be ready to move in here. What I probably should have done, some games what I'll do is I'll build gateways to kind of wall this off and kind of hinder any major attacks from coming in here, give myself enough time to move my army down into position. So, moving out to take the middle of the map and plant down a 4th base. Now, I know this is also fairly risky, but by taking the middle of the map with my army, I pretty much know whether or not he's coming. Now, one thing I did start doing in most of my Terran games is start to build lots more observers. So that probably would be a recommendation for any player who's looking to make sure that they know exactly what's going on. Maybe plan an observer up kind of in this area. That way you deal with that. Maybe one down here, just to get better vision, kind of get a feel for what's going on. Also, I still don't have any proxy pylons around, so that's never a good situation. So continuing on getting upgrades and units, hopefully soon, because I'm like, lots of units. So yeah, so he comes in. I have 4 Colossus, which actually deal with this quite well. Upgrades wise, he's on 2-2, and I am on 3-1, so I'm a little bit, I wouldn't say I'm ahead in upgrades, but obviously Colossus versus Roach Hydra, very, very good. No big deal, and he just gave me a few, you know, Overseer kills, no big, always welcome in the StarCraft game. 4th base is up. Everything is going great. Now, at this point, I've taken out his entire army. You know, so I've got to put as much pressure on as possible, take out a base, and do as much damage as possible because I'm ahead. Why not? So he's getting more roaches on. We're going to go ahead and speed this up and get into this. I come in here and pretty much get a free base. Now, he comes around with his roaches and obviously tries to focus down the Colossus because the Colossus do lots of damage. So I try to do a little bit of stutter step micro, whatever you want to call it, and basically more or less take out the majority of the rest of his army. Well, I guess his reinforcements. So yeah. Let's see. What else? Anything else going on behind this? Transferring probes down to my 4th. Still doing good. I'm on 16 probes on the minerals, which is decent. Usually 18 is, well, yeah, usually 18 is more preferable, because that's like 2 lines and 2. So still doing damage, taking out these overseers, having fun. And at some point I'm going to start getting double Colossus production up again because he's continuing to build roaches, and Colossus versus Roach, Colossus win. Well, with backup units at least. Anyways, speeding it up. Such a long game. I remember being totally drained after this, but it was totally worth it. So trading fairly well. My upgrades are, I guess, kind of a little above his just because I got the shield upgrade. Warp in some DT since he doesn't have an overseer with him, and then he has one and then he doesn't. And basically just getting up Colossus production behind it because Colossus are good. Anyways, he hasn't chosen to get a 4th base, which is probably a little bit of a bummer on his part because he is mined out of his main and his natural, and he doesn't have really much of an income. I mean, he's floating lots of gas, so I guess the typical follow-up for him would either be to go swarm hosts or... How much are swarm hosts? Swarm hosts are... No, more mineral heavy, so probably more like infestors. So he comes in, takes out my 4th, and I'm just like, well, I'm going to base trade with you because my army's stronger. So I go in, I take out his natural, take out a couple overlords, and I went ahead and planted down this nexus down here because I kind of thought that instead of coming back to deal with my army, he would just walk in and try and kill my base and basically make it a base race. Or base race. So get in, take out the upgrades, do a really good job of dealing with this army. He gets into a nice concave, but obviously having the Colossus, it, you know, kind of minimizes how effective that actual arc is. I take out the majority of his army, just warping in units, harassing, doing that kind of thing. He's building 28 roaches. Ugh, lots of roaches. And basically at this point, it's just a matter of microing a little bit, getting in, taking out his stuffs, and taking out his mining base, because obviously if he doesn't have a mining base, he can't win the game. I probably should have just built DTs, not zealots. He's got the overseer, but I could easily take that out. Anyways, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this game. There's not much left to this, basically just me microing a little bit and him leaving the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Feel free to like this if you loved it and want to see more. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope you liked this video, and if you want to see more content, feel free to subscribe. Also, if you want me to take a look at some of your replays and maybe do a cast on it, feel free to send an email with a replay to the email in the description. It would be awesome. I love looking at different people's takes on how different matchups work, so feel free to send an email to that. Also, check out my stream. I usually stream on the weekends. This weekend, maybe not so much because I'm going to be out of Peebles, Ohio, but I will definitely probably be yeah, that makes sense. I will probably be streaming next week during the week, since it is a free week relative to no pressure on ladder to get demoted. Anyways, so I hope you guys have been enjoying the series. Unfortunately, this is my last platinum video. Sad face. Well, not really, because diamond is way cooler. So yeah, check out the streams in the description. They're awesome people. In Control, Grubby, Noni. All of them do really awesome commentation. So feel free to check them out and maybe learn something from a Grandmaster, because Grandmasters are cool. And this community is awesome. Anyways, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next week.